Hey guys, this is War Machine here and I'm back with another video. So I'm going to purposely make this video in English because I know that a lot of audience that I engage with doesn't come from India. So if you have any issue understanding what I'm saying, you can turn on subtitles because they will probably be available on this video. Now let's get to the main topic. So the topic of this video you might already know from the thumbnail and the title. We are going to talk about the device requirements that are going to be that you will need for playing Warzone. Now a lot of people are very confused looking at the current requirements of Warzone, that they are wondering that it's going to be probably of very high requirements and they will not be able to play it. Well, let me assure you of one thing. Warzone as a game will be anything but of high requirements. If you have known Activision for a very long time, you would know that one thing Activision is really great at is optimizing their games, and they will not make a game that is not playable on at least mid-range devices. So now I will actually give you a few, let's say, proof and their own articles presented by Warzone and Activision themselves, who will tell you that what type of devices you need in order to play Warzone properly. Now, before I start with the device requirements, let me tell you one thing. Activision has always been great with their optimization. In fact, in a lot of game testing videos, you will see that tech channels don't even use games like Call of Duty Warzone or any other Call of Duty game on mobile or PC, because mostly Call of Duty games don't have a problem running on any device regardless of its specifications. Now let's talk about the main topic. So if we look at the official requirements for playing Call of Duty Warzone on mobiles of Android and iOS, you will notice that in this article, which is actually presented by the staff of Warzone himself, they said that you will require, in terms of iOS, iPhone 8 or higher, and in terms of Android, Adreno 618 or higher, and a device with at least 3 GBs of RAM. Now, there are a few confusions over here. First of all, these requirements are the minimum requirements that you will need, which means these requirements will be able to run the game on 45 FPS. So yes, this is not extreme FPS requirements, these are ultra FPS requirements. Now these requirements will definitely make the game playable, but on mid-range devices, as we all know that a lot of players can only afford till iPhone 8 or something. So if you have an iPhone 8, I would recommend either upgrade your device or just, if you want to play at this game at iPhone 8, then it's fine, but I highly doubt that you will get maximum out of it. Now, according to up to down charts, the one big issue with this requirement mentioned in this article, the only issue is that they said on Android you will require Adreno 618. Now let me tell you, Adreno 618 is almost as powerful as a Snapdragon 750, which means that this game doesn't require a lot for you to run. Now on one hand, for low-end devices you will still face issues, but on the other hand, this game is going to run very good, and probably you will also be able to stream it on mid to high-end devices. Now in my personal suggestion, in terms of Android, I would highly suggest you to get a device that has at least Snapdragon 860 or above. And in terms of iOS, I would recommend you to get a device that has at least A12 or A11 Bionic chip if you are going for the older chipset. Now, what device I am going to use for this game? The device I will be using for this game is iPad 9th generation. The main reason being, iPad 9th generation's A13 Bionic chip is based in 2021. The architecture of the chip, the problem with iOS is that they change the architecture of their chip just like PCs. And so, let's say you pick an iPhone 11 which has a 13 chipset, and you pick the iPad 9th generation which also has a 13 chipset. But there will be a benchmark gap of 2 lakh or even more, which means a 50% increase from iPhone 11 to iPad 9th generation. Now, why does this happen? This happens because of two reasons. First of them being that iPad and Apple in general Apple devices like iPad in general are usually bigger in sizes, which means the heat dissipates a bit better. But on the other hand, the other reason for it is that the company itself, changes the architecture of their processors every year. That is why you don't see a lot of Apple devices being released every year. They try to make the best device and only then release it. And so I would much rather recommend you to go for iPad 9th generation if you are going to play the game casually and for streaming and recording purposes. But if you are not going to play the game casually and you want to play it in esports or competitive, then I would recommend you should buy iPhone 12 or higher. Now the reason for this recommendation is that in iPhone 12 you will at least get better processor than A13. But not only that, because this game is based on Unreal Engine 5, the big reason why this game might have better and higher level of graphics is because of ray tracing. Now for those of you who do not know what ray tracing is basically the bleeding light effect that we have also seen in PUBG New State. PUBG New State also has ray tracing effects. Now one thing I'm going to assure every player here, this is Activision we are talking about, and Activision has always been good at one thing and one thing only, and that is optimization. This is the primary thing, and that is why most Activision games run pretty damn well on very low end devices, even if we are talking about their games on PC. And so if you are in a dilemma whether you will be able to play this game or not, then let me assure you, on Android, if you have Poco X3 Pro, you will be able to play this game on 60 FPS with smooth settings. And if you are on Apple, then iPhone XR will give you 60 FPS on smooth settings. And so this is the conclusion of the video. I gave you the minimum requirements for 60 FPS. You already know the minimum requirements for 45 FPS. And if you are willing to stream or record or whatsoever, then I would recommend you to go for a chipset in Android 875 or plus and in Apple A13 or over. But I hope that I have given you all the information you needed to know. You need not to worry in terms of Activision that this game will not run on low-end devices. This will run on low-end devices. In fact, I have very high expectations of it running on even lower-end devices like Oppo. And so there is no reason for you to really worry about your device, unless you are going for competitive gameplay or streaming purposes. In that case, you should definitely get a higher-end device. But anyways, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, why not drop me a like rating, and if you like this content, then subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys on the next video.